Greetings, everyone. Hello, I hope
Hello.
all is well. Feel free to input anything in the questions bar if any issues come up. My name is Hasmeen Quigley. I'm actually one of the professional live-in staff in Santa Catalina Hall.
Yes. And hi, everybody. My name is Rich Trosio. I'm a resident director at one of the residence halls as well, and a Kappa.
All right. So before we get started, we just wanted to kind of give you all a little bit of an intro into our lives. I personally am a UCSB alum. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Zoology, and I've been working in housing for the last few years, and I've loved every second of it. So
Yes.
that is me.
All right, and a little bit about me. I'm the resident director. I am originally from Chicago, and I studied and received a master's in higher education administration. And moving away from the polar vortex and the cold weather and everything to beautiful Santa Barbara, and I absolutely love it. This is my second year here, and I don't want to move back. And I'll be here for at least another year. So that's me. And to let everybody know kind of the overview of what we will be discussing in this PowerPoint presentation, you will learn basically a lot more about housing and residential services. We'll give you a little bit more of an overview and background of our offerings and services we provide. We'll discuss some of your options in terms of your housing options and what doubles, triples, and rates and all that kind of specifics. And then well, also, yes, as I said, we'll go to the specifics about the room and board, how you sign up with roommates and everything. And then at the very end, we'll also have some time to field some questions, hopefully via this chat here. So let us begin.
All right. And so we will we'll try to elaborate on any questions you may have while we're going through this presentation. We may point out that later on in our presentation we'll get to those questions, so bear with us if we do see some of your questions and they're not being answered immediately. We'll try to keep our eyes on what's coming up, but this is new technology for us. So anyhow, all right, here we go.
All right, so the advantages of living in the residence halls. And note, we say residence halls instead of dorms. And the reason for that is because the residence halls, we offered so much more. And there's a lot more to it than the dreary old room of mine connotation of the past. But these are a couple of things that we really want to highlight. So first and foremost, it's a common experience for 94% of the freshman class. So I think it's something that's really unique and really fun, that it is a shared experience and something that majority of our students enter the college experience together. So I think that's one of the first things. We also have live-in students and professional staff, including myself and Hasmeen. We range from being just student leaders, being fellow undergrads, to master levels and full-time professionals that have been working for a number of years. Each building has their own professional staff and live-in staff. It changes in numbers depending on the area. And the big thing is, it's not only that we serve as liaisons, as resources, guides for all the students to kind of help where we can, but also it's a security measure. So in terms of, for the parents out there that are worried about, potential dangers out there in the college scene, there's always 24/7 staff around. So we'll be able to monitor the building and help where we can, assist where we can, but also, make sure the community standards are safe and also, conducive for studying.
That's correct. A couple of other things that we wanted to highlight are definitely some of the amenities that our residence halls and apartments have to offer. We have various recreation rooms, pools, fitness centers even, depending on the hall that you're in, which is really great. I think it really allows for a wonderful community experience. I think a lot of, floor mates, roommates, that kind of stuff, to just interact We have a couple of volleyball courts, basketball courts, pool tables, ping pong tables, air hockey tables, all this fun stuff, to just allow you all to kind of hang out. I think one of the biggest pieces at UCSB is we stress scholarship, leadership, citizenship, and I think one of the biggest pieces is being able to kind of, I guess, balance that with interacting with your peers. So that's some of the amenities that we provide. In terms of regular scheduled housekeeping, we wanted to highlight, so once a week your room is cleaned, and the extent of cleaning can consist of vacuuming, wiping down all of the surfaces, things like that, which is really nice. That's in the residence halls, and I think having some maintenance and custodial staff that really put their hearts into providing the best top-notch living experience at UCSB is something that we're very proud of. I'd like to highlight that common areas, so when you're looking at recreation rooms, some of the study lounges, all of that kind of stuff, you're looking at bathrooms, all of those common areas are cleaned on a daily basis, and sometimes multiple times a day, depending on the area. So we really look to provide, some of the highest, living experience that we can provide with that.
And also computer networks and support. So every building, every common area has Wi-Fi, so it has wireless internet. One of the nice things with that is, since we are so close to the beach, we have a lot of outdoor patios, even some of the outdoor pools, and a lot of those common areas that Hasmin mentioned earlier. It does have Wi-Fi access, so you can enjoy multiple different areas to study and be outdoors and still get internet. So I think that's something that's pretty nice. As well as we provide support for that, so if you have any network issues, any IaaS information services type help and support that you need, we also provide an in-house support system there. And then, as well as programs and community development, this is something that we really take pride in. We'll talk more about this more specifically, but it could be everything from educational, cultural, as well as more of the fun stuff, getting people to know each other, get to engage in the community, and leadership development. I know as Oscar asked about some downsides of being an RA, that is a leadership opportunity for people. And I think I could elaborate a little bit more potentially when we talk more about leadership. But yeah, many opportunities there.
Definitely. And I think we had another question about Wi-Fi speed. To be honest, I don't know the technical speed in terms of that. I believe it's listed on our ResNet website, so you can always look there, UCSB ResNet. And that's through our housing website. You can search that as well for specifics. So yes, there's that.
It's not slow.
It's not slow, but it depends on your expectations of Wi-Fi, I guess.
True. It's not that low.
All right, so a couple of facts for our residence halls, I think. So first point to just note, all halls are co-ed with single gender bathrooms. And so what that looks like is, depending on the hall that you end up in, or the residence hall that you end up in, and even sometimes the floor within that residence hall, it can look like one wing that's all male or female identified folks, and those would have that single gender bathroom. And then you can, in Santa Catalina, there's typically one side, or it's interspersed within the building, and you have suite style bathrooms there. So one of the facts. Meals are included in 4 of our dining halls. So we have 4 dining halls, 3 of which are on our main campus, and 1 of which is located in Santa Catalina Hall. And they provide some really great meals and services. I think we'll go a little bit more into dining specifics. But one of the things to highlight, and that actually comes with your residential package. All halls are within biking or walking distance to class, so this is really amazing. I know I lived in Santa Rosa Hall my first year, and I was able to bike to class in sometimes under 5 minutes, depending on where my class location was and how quickly I needed to get there. So really great, very convenient. We also have an amazing bus system. So for folks that may not necessarily look at biking or skateboarding as their favorite option of transport, you can definitely use the bus. Very quick and efficient. Lastly, so in terms of how many folks we house in the residence halls, we have over 5,000 folks living in the residence halls with us, which is amazing. But I think the biggest point with that is to just identify that we take providing some amazing service seriously for thousands of folks. So we really encourage you all to take a look at our halls, and this is kind of hopefully why you're here, and stick with us as we go through this presentation. All right, and that, just to highlight, is with all class levels. I think when you're looking at whether you're a transfer student or a first year like freshman student, that kind of thing, coming out of high school, you can live in the residence halls and in the apartments, which we'll highlight later, being in any class level. Oh.
Okay, so living learning communities. So each residence hall has living learning communities, and basically what these are floors or areas within the building that that residents have a shared interest, basically. And what you could say is it's theme-related activities or theme-related ideas that everybody kind of shares. And this could be everything from social aspects to educational to special interests, these, or even cultural, to give you some of the general categories. We'll go more specifically into what specific living learning communities there are, but generally each living learning community offers programs and resources and services specifically aimed for that community. So for instance, there's an outdoor adventures living learning community, which the programs kind of focus a little bit more on outdoor activities, and then also connecting with wellness type services and kind of increasing kind of the fun with the living learning communities. But again, we'll go into that a little bit more.
All right. So as Rich mentioned, we're just going to go into some of these specific living learning communities. So we have some that are geared towards lifestyle, and as Rich mentioned, outdoor adventure, which is really great. It's a fun floor to be on, definitely, and definitely highlighting the area, kayaking, hiking in the backcountry. There's just so much to explore in Santa Barbara, and that is the case even if you're not on the outdoor adventure floor. We have a wellness floor that's very focused, centered around overall well-being, mind, body, spirit, that kind of thing, which is a really neat kind of focus of UCSB life and Santa Barbara life as well. And then we also have our cultural floors. So cultural floors can range from our Black Scholars floor to our Chicano Latino floor to our API floor. We also have a multicultural experience floor, which is such a great selling point, I think, for a lot of folks that just want to kind of highlight their own multicultural experience, but also to learn a lot more about others, which is great. And we also have a Rainbow House, which is a really great experience for a lot of our students. Very safe zone to be a part of.
And lastly, the last category we want to mention is special interests in education. So that's kind of more of the cultural and the fun lifestyle type things. There's also kind of the academic component as well. So there's women in science and technology, creative and performing arts. Those are a little bit more geared towards, obviously, the academics and what type of major you may have. And then combining or bringing people together with that same major together. So you can kind of provide that support system, shared interest, and as well as connect you to more of the academic folks. There's also a transfer living learning community, so we're bringing that back this year. So for those that are transfers or going to be new to the to UCSB, but a transfer as well, there are floors or an area, a living learning community that is focused on that. So I think that's one of the unique ones. And then scholars as well. So for those that have, I believe, have scholarships and been awarded in terms of certain scholar, I can't describe it exactly for a reason. but yes, there's a number of areas. If academics is kind of your thing, we'll bring people together for that. So that's a special interest in education and just in general. So this is important. Live and Learn Communities is a unique opportunity and rewarding opportunity. So that's not only fun but very supportive. And I just want to point out that if you would like to join an LLC, indicate your choice on the online personal preference form when filling out your housing applications. So, and in general, we'll strive to accommodate one of your 3 requests as space permits. And there's a email address or the website right there.
Cool. Awesome. All right, and I just want to point out, I see that there's a couple of questions that are coming in. We will try to highlight them as we go. Some of them, as we mentioned earlier, we'll be able to get back to at the end of our presentation, and we can kind of touch base with those. So just wanted to let you all know that we're seeing them, and we will answer those towards the end. All right. So, programming and community development. I think this, in particular, we wanted to highlight because there's areas of living in the residence halls, as Rich mentioned, that make it more than just a place to sleep. And these would be some of those areas. Educationally, we look at we have RAs and student leaders and all of those, even student groups on campus that look at bringing educational experiences to the residence halls. Let's show a documentary and let's discuss and let's kind of think critically about that. Let's maybe have a study skills workshop. How can we do better? How can we study better for our first round of finals, that kind of stuff. So those are some of the educational programs that have often been offered. There's so many out there, which is really great. Oftentimes through the LSC program, we'll have faculty members come and talk about Black History Month, or maybe current events, things like that, which is a really great opportunity to kind of keep an eye out for. Community service, so if folks have been interested in community service in the past, whether it was high school, former employment opportunities, things like that, UCSB is definitely a place to do a lot of really great work. Some of the partnerships that students and organizations and our housing staff partner with are Adopt a Block to do some beach cleanups, cleanups with an Isla Vista after large-scale events, anything like that. Typically beach cleanups though, and then also through Surfrider Foundation we do a lot of beach cleanups as well. We live by the beach, so we like to give back. We use it for a lot of fun recreation, so that's some of the basic community service. There's also a lot of feeding the houseless, things like that, opportunities like that are provided as well. Community development. So the idea behind community development is really to kind of have you all and your roommates and your floor mates and your peers just interact. Like, let's hang out, let's have a movie night, floor dinners, that kind of thing. We truly believe over in housing and residential services that being able to provide these opportunities for you all to kind of interact with each other and grow together, even as minimal as like having a bagel together, is something that will really enhance your time at UCSB, specifically in housing.
And lastly, leadership. I know somebody mentioned the RA position, but ultimately when living in housing, you have a lot of opportunities to be really involved and to give back to the community and be engaged. So we listed here a couple opportunities for you all, such as hall/community councils. You could kind of consider this maybe like an ASB, but for college, so to speak. So there's a president and treasurer to advertising chair and all that type of stuff. So a number of positions with that. So you could kind of put on your own programs, but also be the voice for your building. There's front desk attendance, which we view as a very visual and very important leadership role that every building has their own front desk, and it really is a big hub for the residents as well as guests and everything. So that's an important leadership opportunity. There's peer review board, which deals with more student conduct and hearing people's stories and situations and being able to provide outcomes and sanctions and decisions in terms of what that means for them. And lastly, multicultural awareness chairs, which is basically a position that we're actually, both of us are involved with. We're part of the committee for that, but basically these chairs are advocates in each residence hall where your goal is to spread education and awareness when it comes to diversity or social justice type issues. So pretty exciting. And then the RA position, every building does have an RA position, RAs on each floor. So as you move in, you'll meet everybody. But there is an application process, and that's doesn't happen until a little later in the year. So definitely great opportunities, definitely a lot of development in that, and we definitely encourage once you do get here to get involved.
Definitely. All right, so just to highlight, we highlighted a lot of opportunities for folks in our residence halls, and we wanted to highlight some more opportunities for any potential transfer students that are out there listening to this webcast right now. So transfer students can make the decision to live, or can have the decision to live in the residence halls or in our apartments, university-owned apartments, which are really great opportunities. So depending on the experience that you're looking for, you would be able to choose that. The primary difference with apartments versus residence halls is apartments do not include housekeeping, so the residence halls include housekeeping, as I mentioned, weekly. And they don't include a meal plan. You can definitely purchase a meal plan if you're living in the apartments for an added price, obviously, and that we will go into in more detail later. So just wanted to highlight that. A couple of programming and community development opportunities for transfer students specifically is we have our single apartment community council. So that's kind of what we mentioned with hall council, or kind of the ASB in the residence halls. Well, this is the similar, its counterpart in the apartments. So that's what that looks like there. And then we also have our transfer student mentorship program, and this program is increasingly becoming more desired. I think with the increasing number of transfer students that we've had attending UCSB, we've realize that there's a need for providing mentorship, and so oftentimes it'll include with sometimes just connecting with other transfer students and how they've maneuvered their experience through UCSB and through the apartments and that kind of thing, and typically there's a lot of really great shared knowledge a part of that program.
Okay, so housing is guaranteed for incoming freshmen. Just want to send in some friendly reminders, some important dates for you all. So for freshmen, file the statement of intent, the SIR, as we call it, and that is due by May 1st, so a couple weeks away here. And after you set that up and actually do your statement of intent to register here at UCSB, set up your UCSB net ID. Basically, this is your you can consider your driver's license number, your most important number that you're going to be asked over and over again to help identify you. You'll set that up, and then after that, you need to fill out the housing contract. So you need to return the Res Hall contract in preference form by June 1st. If you are a transfer student, slightly different dates. So the SIR is June 1st, and then you set up the net ID. And you need to submit your housing application by June 10th, 2014.
All right. Be sure to do all of those indicated. In order to be guaranteed housing, you will need to submit your SIR, and be sure to, file with a contract with us. Otherwise, we don't know that you're coming, and we don't know that you want housing. So, all right. So just to kind of go over, looks like this slide kind of zoomed out, but a couple of residence hall options on our main campus. Wanted to highlight there is an East Campus and a West Campus, and to go into some of these specific residence hall names. I think many of you may have already been looking these up, but just to kind of give you an idea of where they're located, I'm going to try to use this fun device on here and point things out. So we'll see if I will be successful. So we have Santa Cruz Hall, which is right over here. And then we have Anacapa Hall, which is where Rich is at, which is right here. Just scribbled all over that. And then we also have Santa Rosa Hall. So this area is part of our Channel Island 5, and these are specifically referred to sometimes as our shorties. They're 2-story buildings and a lot of really great opportunities. First year residence hall students, so that houses all of our first years there. We also have San Nicolas and San Miguel, and that's over in this area. So we have San Nicolas Hall and San Miguel Hall that kind of rounds out the Channel Island 5. If you all aren't familiar with the Channel Islands, they are islands right off of our coast, and they have all of these same names, so that's the idea there. Then we have our West Campus, also known as Farside, and this is typically for our continuing students. We do house some first-year students in Manzanita, which is located over in this area, and then San Rafael, which is located in this area right there. I'm just scribbling all over it. So a lot of continuing students, transfer students over in this neck of the woods. And just to point out, we do have a dining commons located in this area. We have 2 dining commons located in the Channel Island 5, known as DLG, De La Guerra, and Ortega. And then over in Farside, we have a dining commons named Carrillo, and so just wanted to highlight their locations as well.
Alright, so this next map, or zoom in, or whatever you want to call it, is basically the off-campus or the surrounding area residence halls and apartments that we offer. So basically here we want to highlight a couple of our offerings. We have the Stork campus, as it says right there, which includes other buildings such as Santa Catalina, SanCat for short is what we'd like to call it. And those are 2 high-rises. I realized we probably should have switched this because you're in charge of those buildings, and I'm in charge of, at least ANCAP and the other maps. But those are our 2 high-rises that have over 1,200 residents in those buildings. So definitely a very unique experience there that has a pool and a tennis court, and mostly first years or all first years. And then we also have other offerings such as various apartments. So we have the Santa Ynez undergraduate apartments, which and other undergraduate apartments such as El Dorado and Westgates as well. There you go. We've gotta love the feature. So yes, so that's kind of our West Campus, or a little bit more off campus, but still very bikeable to all the campus offerings, whether it's the the beach or the library or even the recreation center. So yeah.
Cool. It looks like we got a couple of questions. So Kuka, I believe you asked how many students live on campus, and we mentioned previously we have a little over 5,000 students that live in our residence halls on campus, and then I think in terms of roommates we'll go into that process in a little bit. So, alright. So let's chat a little bit about dining services. I know we mentioned we would. So, as we mentioned previously, there's a total of 4, 3 of which are located over off the main campus area, and then 1 of which is located in Santa Catalina. And, one of the neat things about living in the residence halls and having access to our dining commons is really the food and the amazing, our dining services department is so wonderful. There are a lot of local, sustainable, organic produce and meats and all of these things. So really some of the top-notch, culinary experience we're given. So that's always really exciting. In terms of food choices, we did want to highlight, obviously, with vegetarian, vegan, organic selections. For folks that are gluten-free, there's a lot of really great opportunities to kind of still eat in the dining commons. You know, anyone with food allergies, things like that, all of our food is identified very easily with name placards and things like that. So if you have any food allergies, it's a really great opportunity to kind of look around and easily identifiable. We also have this really neat program called Net Nutrition, which kind of gives you an overall nutritional kind of view of each of the food items that are being served in that day or that during that meal, which is really cool. I think it's a pretty awesome state-of-the-art facility that we provide. So in terms of the basic, I guess, room and board rate, we're looking at 10 meals a week, so that's kind of the lowest amount of meals that you can choose with living in the residence halls. So some people may wonder, can you live in the residence halls and not be, you know, not be a part of like eating in the dining commons, that kind of thing, or having a meal plan? No, you have to have a meal plan to live in the residence halls, so just throwing that out there. And the lowest amount you can have are 10 meals, but they range from 10 to 14 to 17 to unlimited. So, and we'll go a little bit more into the specifics of the pricing and how they're priced out according to meal plan and also according to room and room type, that kind of stuff. And as we mentioned earlier, just wanted to remind you all that meal plans are available for purchase for anyone living in our university-owned apartments, and even for folks that aren't living in our apartments. You can always be a student in the nearby area and get a meal plan.
I just want to add too that each residence hall has their own kitchens as well. So if you are interested in cooking your own meals, even despite having a meal plan, we do have a number of kitchens in each residence hall. So as well as equipment that you could check out, so you could cook your own meals if you choose to do that.
All right. Okay.
All right. So now we're going to go into a little bit more of the specifics in terms of, you know, what rooming options you have, and then we'll talk a little bit about the pricing as well. So each residence hall has single, doubles, and triples. Triples are becoming a little bit more of the norm, the new normal, I guess you could say, in the residence halls here, and we do have a high demand, so we definitely want to fit as many people that are interested in staying with us, and those are kind of some of the layouts, as you can see there. So our rooms are, especially with the furniture, I think it's as, you know, it's cozy, but it definitely works, and I think people have grown to actually enjoy the triples or the doubles and the size of the rooms. We also do have a lot of common areas, so people definitely utilize that in terms of the lounges or formal lounges and rec rooms and stuff like that. Anything to add?
Just to highlight, so some of the included furniture is everyone gets a bed, thankfully. Everyone gets a desk, and folks get armoires and dressers as well. So just wanted to highlight some of the stuff that comes with it. Obviously, you can always feel free to bring additional, you know, furnishings, but typically there's not a ton of room. Mini fridges are always something that folks like to bring as well.
Yeah. People are creative, so they'll definitely make a lot of the space.
All right.
So now for some of the pricing. So this chart kind of breaks down the prices depending on if you live in a single, double, or triple, as well as the meal plans that Hasmina was talking about. So some of the things I want to point out is basically the difference between a triple and double rate. Again, I think some people do prefer the triple rate. Not only you get to meet two roommates, but also, you know, financially it is a little bit less. So as you can see with the, if you can see the unlimited meal plan versus the triple versus the double rate, roughly a year, and the 3 quarters that you actually do live, it's roughly around $900 to $1,000 difference each quarter. So that's something to take note of, or something to think about as you're signing up for, you know, doubles, triples, singles even as well. And I know somebody asked a question in terms of financial aid and how it offers, or does it cover the cost and everything like that. And honestly, I'm not an expert with that, and I know it takes in a lot of different factors, but from what I've heard and from what I know, and I recommend asking your financial aid reps in that department over there, but from what I heard, it actually does cover at the very least a double occupancy rate. But again, ask more questions with your financial aid, or our financial aid office, and try to figure out exactly, depending on the factors in your background and everything like that, in terms of how much financial aid is offered. So, so as I said, yep, those are the rates there. If you take a look at the chart, I want to point out a couple things that's listed here. Is there are additional fees in terms of the processing fee, which is $50. There's a Residence Hall Association fee of $30, which offers various programs and services for all our residents, which is actually an opportunity for people to get involved with, but also, gives back to the students, which is really cool. Personal expenses such as laundry card money, phone, and parking payments, that is not included with this rates, so something to take a note of. And then, just reading it out loud, the Dining Plus plan, it's optional. You'll choose those dollar amounts, and you could use those at other UCSB dining locations, such as the University Center, the UCEN for short, as we call it. And it has various restaurants there, as well as other places.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to transition into just an overview of some of the apartments. So wanted to highlight, if folks are interested in living in the apartments, this would typically be for our transfer students at this point. 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments typically will have one double room, which is this one right here, and then you'll have one triple room, which is this one right here. And then the common area would be the kitchen, as well as like a living room and some sort of patio, balcony, that kind of stuff. So wanted to highlight those. I think with the apartments, each of the apartments that you're looking at may have a different floor plan specifically, and they have some really great interactive interfaces on our apartments website, so be sure to take a look at that. But we wanted to give you kind of an overview of what a generic apartment layout looks like. Also going into some of the rates and fees. So our undergraduate apartment complexes are mainly 3, which are Santa Ynez, El Dorado, and Westgate. So you have some of these pricing here, and then you have it based off of the 2-bedroom double, the 2-bedroom triple. So if you're in a 2-bedroom and in the triple room, so that's kind of what you're looking at there, and then a 1-bedroom double. Those are all the pricing, so that's kind of the idea there. And Westgate is the only one that has our studios, which are located right there. So any of you transfer folks interested in apartments, those are what the rates would look like. And this is a really great highlight for folks that are going to be first-year students that may want to live in the apartments after all. And we'll actually talk about a program on the next slide over about how to ensure your ability to stay in our university-owned apartments after living in a residence halls, which is really cool. A couple of other things. So these rates do not include similarly laundry card money, phone or parking permits, that kind of stuff. So, and when we say phone, I think that's like landline, that kind of idea. I don't know if anyone uses a landline anymore, but you can. So it's an option. It's an option. And any additional rates are subject to kind of updates and that kind of stuff. So as of right now, these are the approximate rates that we do have for you. So if you do have any questions specifically about the apartments, we'll have some contact information at the end to give you, so that you can feel free to follow up directly with their department, so that we can kind of chat a little bit more about specifics for you.
And you do not have to purchase a meal plan. I know it's one of the questions out there, so I just want to reiterate that point. You do not have to purchase a meal plan, but if you want, we obviously offer that as an option as well.
I see a question inquiring if apartment rooms are co-ed. And that's a great question. I'm not too sure. I believe they're typically same gender, but I think if you're looking for other arrangements, you can always touch base with the assignments office directly, and they can kind of additionally add to your question. All right, so moving forward.
All right, so the 2+2 program. So basically, the 2+2 program is an incentive to actually stay within university-owned housing, basically. So if you live for 2 years in the residence halls, you are guaranteed a space in university-owned apartments for your 3rd and 4th year. So, so kind of the apartments that we offer is, as we said, Santa Ynez and other undergraduate apartments. And so you can kind of have the on-campus residence hall type experience, but also have the apartment experience, which both have the perks, and it just really kind of depends on what you're looking for. Apartments tends to be, yes, older, tends to be a little bit more, but you also, yes, don't have a meal plan, you cook on your own, it's a little bit more independent. But yes, it's just a kind of an added incentive for you all. If you live in the residence hall for a couple years, you could have guaranteed housing.
And just to point out, so we do have a couple of other projects coming up with new apartment complexes and things like that that are coming to be, which is very exciting. I know we're all very excited to house more prospective students, which is really exciting. All right. So just to go over a couple of resources and options for folks that may be watching that are non-traditional students. So in terms of living in university-owned housing, I mean, it's definitely optional for all students. Whether you're a first year, a transfer student, a non-traditional student, it's an option. You don't have to go with it. I mean, we think you should, of course, but wanted to reiterate that. In terms of, traditionally with transfer students, you're definitely given the option apartments, residence halls. And we wanted to highlight a couple of other apartment complexes. So we have a family student housing option for folks that may be married, may have dependents, that kind of thing. Definitely you would be eligible for family student housing, and you would actually check with eligibility. Typically there's a wait list, that kind of stuff, so you'd be touching base with our apartment assignments office. We also wanted to highlight our community housing office, which is something that we like to reiterate as a resource for folks that are looking at housing in the Goleta, Isla Vista, Santa Barbara area that are going to be students, and they're really great at providing resources, some really solid renters, property management groups, that kind of thing. Our community housing office definitely looks out for UCSB students' best interests, so I wanted to highlight that as a resource as well. Okay.
So room assignments. I know that's a big question that everybody asks about. What building am I going to be assigned? So how we run this process is basically it's random, but also based on availability and your preferences. So first of all, we create a random ranking order, so completely random. And based on that order, we start assigning students. This is kind of out of order, but the living and learning communities are assigned first, and then the general interest rooms. So if you do have an interest in, any of the living and learning communities that we talked about previously, we first start with those, and then yes, every other room as well. We assign the students by their rankings to their highest building and room type preference that we still have open. So after the LLCs, living and learning communities, are filled based on the openings, then we start going by the rankings. And typically about 50% get their first or second building choice, and roughly about 10% get their last choice, or even one they do not select. So again, it changes from year to year. It depends on the availability of the rooms, depends on your preferences, it depends on the assignments of the living and learning communities. But in general, this is kind of a process, and it really is based on your preferences as well as availability. We definitely take it in consideration.
I would like to point out that I did not get my first choice hall, and I had a lovely experience. So definitely keep an open mind when it comes to housing, residence halls and apartments, that kind of thing. We really try to, our assignments office works really hard to get every everyone everything they want, but it can be pretty difficult. So keep an open mind, and I think either way you'll have a wonderful time. So, all right. So roommate assignment. I think some folks might be curious as to how we do it. We pretty much just put you in a room and say, figure it out. No, just joking. So we definitely have a process, and we allow for mutual roommate requests. What does that mean? If you maybe have a friend that's coming to UC Santa Barbara and wants to live in the halls as well, you would be able to request that. So I would say, I want to live with Rich, and I mean, these requests would oftentimes need to be same gender, unless otherwise desired. But in the residence halls, we try to do that. So you can't necessarily live with your partner or that kind of thing, unless you wanted to do that outside of the residence halls. Throwing that out there. Roommate booklet, we provide a roommate booklet when you do move in. So if you are assigned a roommate, we do that according to a survey that typically will match preferences, living traits, that kind of thing. We do our best. Not everyone's going to be super jazzed with each other, but I think for the most part everyone has a really wonderful experience and gets a really great new friend out of it. So that's always really wonderful. In terms of going back to the roommate booklet that's listed in the box above, just wanted to highlight there's an expectation when folks move in that they touch base with their roommate and they set, expectations with each other, guidelines, that kind of thing, to really help streamline, any potential conflict that might arise, but also to just keep an open communication with each other. It oftentimes will help with just about anything that can come up. So wanted to highlight that. If you do have any questions about roommate situations, we'll try to answer them, but I will have you know that most folks have a really great time.
Actually, I have a unique story. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I'm going to. I have a wedding this next month. I'm going to my freshman year roommate's wedding. I'm actually part of it.
That's
so
awesome.
kind of I had a random roommate, and did not know him ahead of time, did not meet him until the very first day, and sure enough, we are really close, and I'm going to his wedding. So kind of an interesting story that kind of comes to mind. So yeah, definitely keep an open mind with that, and I think it works out typically for the most part. And if not, that's why we're here. One of our jobs or one of our responsibilities to kind of help, promote healthy living styles for each other and being safe and okay where you live.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Okay, so payment options. So where the money comes in. Basically, the residence hall charges are posted to each individual student's university billing account, their BARC. So we'll mention that a lot, but yes, the student university billing account, which stands for BARC, along with the academic fees. Students have the choice of 3 payment plans for housing, and you can either pay in full, pay in 3 payments, or pay in 9 payments. So pay in full, obviously, as it says, that's what you do, but and you must specifically request this option if you choose to do that up front. 3 payments, that's each quarter. You can pay it each quarter in September, December, and March. Or lastly, 9 payments, which is the monthly payment, September through May. Be sure to request the financial aid payment plan, which is the 3 payments. If you receive any form of loans or grants or scholarships, that's how it's distributed. And residence hall billing will then coincide with the financial aid disbursement, just like I said.
Okay.
And that's the website right there. If you have any questions, they'll have a lot more information on that.
Okay. So we're winding down with our presentation. So one of the things we wanted to remind you all is just kind of deadlines and what you all need to do to get housing with us. If you're still interested, which we hope you are, be sure, again, May 1st, file that statement of intent to register with us. We want to know that you're coming, and we want to prepare, and be sure to return the contract, the residence hall contract, or the assignments, the apartment contract, by June 1st. And transfer students, again, your deadline's a little different, but statement of intent by June 1st, and turn in that housing application by June 10th. So be sure to do that. Don't forget, put in your calendar. All right.
And lastly, this is our contact information. So if you have any additional further questions or more specifics that we may not have answered, these are our two main contact information. So the Residence Hall Assignment Services is right there. Again, it's specifically focused on the residence halls.
And then we have the apartment assignment services side of things, and that's the email, the phone number. Be sure to email them accordingly, or give them a quick call to just get your questions answered. They're more than happy to help. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Welcome to UCSB. We're excited to have you. We hope you choose us. We like to think we're the place to be.
It definitely is. That picture, it's as beautiful as that picture is. Definitely is. Definitely don't regret it here. I don't miss the cold in other areas where I'm from, so it's definitely a great place. It's a great school with great students, and plenty of opportunities out there. So what we'll do right now is we'll go back in the chat and see if there's any questions that we may have missed. And if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat here, and we'll try to address some of them. But otherwise, we also have the chat that's going until 8 o'clock, so if you have any other lingering questions, please go ahead and do that. All right, so
definitely. Let's take a look.
So one of the questions is, so would it be okay to have a desktop in the dorm, or the res hall, as we prefer it? We do, yes, offer Wi-Fi and wireless, but we also have connections that if you do want to bring in a desktop, you can connect directly as well. So yeah, so it depends on your preference and what you prefer, but we have both options if you'd like.
Yeah, I think in terms, it really just is based off of preference, what you are interested in bringing. There was a question here about library hours. I don't quite recall off the top of my head. I would say it's a quick and easy Google, UCSB Davidson Library. That's the library name. And you can get their hours, but they're open pretty late, which is pretty amazing.
Pretty late, and then 24/7 during finals and study week as well.
Let's see here. There was a question, I think, a little bit back, maybe by Andrew. I don't know if Andrew's still with us. I think you are. And you asked, is on-campus housing guaranteed all 4 years? Yes. If you're interested in staying in the residence halls, Rich mentioned the 2-and-2 program. So if you're interested in being in the residence halls for the first 2 years, and then in the apartments the second 2 years, that would guarantee you space in our apartments, which is always really exciting. It's a fun new experience, but the residence halls are great, and we do have folks that do stay all 4 years in the residence halls, which is absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's hard to want to leave when you have your room cleaned and you have food being cooked for you in the dining commons. So, all right, I think we have a couple more questions. How far are the apartments from campus? It varies on the apartment, but most of the university-owned apartments are maybe half a mile. I think Santa Catalina is more of a mile out from the main campus area.
It's interesting because everybody bikes or skateboards, so you could say it's anywhere from a 5-minute bike ride to a 15-minute bike ride, I would say. So it's like half a mile to 2 miles from corner to corner, I would say, potentially. But yeah, it's not too far. The campus is not that big.
Let's see. I think, Oscar, you asked difference in pricing mainly due to meal plans. So that's correct. I mean, typically, so as you saw, I think our previous slide had single rooms, double rooms, triple rooms, and then those differed based off of your meal plan. So you can the spreadsheet kind of works in an interesting way where, it's based off of your room, and then it's then based off of the meal plans. So that's kind of what you're looking at, for sure. Let's see if there are any other questions that we missed. we've gotten most of them. I think someone asked previously if there was a hiking club or something similar. And do you know specifically about? I know there's an outdoor adventure club, which is really cool. There's also adventure program through our recreation center, which offers a lot of really cool opportunities to go explore some of the nearby areas and also further away. So you can go up to Big Sur, go to the Colorado River through adventure program there. But we also have an outdoor adventure club, which does some really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the campus is very outdoorsy, you say, and there's a lot of offerings in terms of outdoor activities. She mentioned the recreation center. Individual floors will usually offer programs that relate to outdoor activities. And in general, there's over 200 plus student organizations that I don't even know all of them, but if there is an interest out there, I would not guarantee, but there more than likely is a student organization out there that you may be interested in.
All right, so we only have a couple more minutes, so I think we're just going to wrap up on a couple of questions here. So, Isla Vista isn't a part of UCSB. It is located adjacent to UCSB, so I think that was an inquiry, and it's there. It's kind of right adjacent to one part of our UCSB campus, and before you get to the greater Goleta area. And we do have a lot of folks that choose to live in Isla Vista, so you know that decision is definitely yours. Let's see.
Let's go into the pricing question. Why is San Ynez so cheap? I think it's strength in numbers. Once again, the San Ynez apartments have typically 5 people versus 3, or less for the residence halls and stuff like that. So I think that drives the cost down. I think that's part of it. But yeah, still has similar offerings than other apartments and other res halls as well. So.
Yeah. And there is a gym. There's a gym located over in San Ynez. It's a smaller one, but there's definitely one there, which is exciting. Let's see here. So go ahead.
Yeah. So the question is: is the campus a dry campus? Basically, first and foremost, the res halls are mostly first-year students, so in terms of enforcement and following the laws and all that stuff, it's fairly easy for us since everybody's under 21 that live in the residence halls. But in terms of dry campus, I don't know exactly what that signifies or what that really means, but at the very least, we do enforce, yes, alcohol in the residence halls because everybody's under 20.
All right, so I think that concludes our presentation. We're so glad you all were able to be with us during this, and we hope we answered most, if not all, of your questions. Again, if you do have any additional questions, feel free to contact the corresponding assignments offices, whether it's apartments assignments or residence hall assignments, and they can give you more details. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.